Visiting Wilkes County on business or pleasure? Stay in Wilkesboro at the Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, or Red Roof Inn and Suites. Enjoy Southern hospitality, cozy rooms, and a complimentary breakfast. Explore the mountains and then relax with us. You've earned it. Closed captions for this episode of Life in Wilkes is brought to you by Deal Insurance Agency in Wilkesboro, an award-winning, experienced, family-owned and operated agency with service and coverage that goes above and beyond expectations. Join us on a captivating journey as we explore the charm, history, and vibrant culture of Wilkes County. Discover the hidden gems, inspiring stories, and remarkable people that make Wilkes a place worth knowing and celebrating. Join us now and experience the unique essence of Life in Wilkes.
Good morning, Luanne. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, I know a little bit about you, Luanne Schexnider.
That's right.
It's a nice German name, I think, right?
Yes.
Could
Cajun.
be. Cajun from your perspective,
yes.
Right? You're not new for the Carolinas, are you?
No, we've been in this area for 4 years.
Okay.
And so I guess that's kind of new, but I feel like I've been here a long time.
Right.
Spent many years in Raleigh and raised my children there, and then went back to Texas for 15 years and decided to come back to North Carolina.
Yeah, well, you made a good choice. So we're going to get into talking about a lot of those components. But did you start out in Texas, or where'd you start out at?
Yes, born and raised in Texas.
Okay.
Specifically Dublin, Texas.
Okay.
And it's the Irish capital of Texas.
Right, I thought so.
There's not a lot of Irish there, but our main street is Patrick Street.
You have such a rich German-Irish accent.
Don't I?
Well, that's great. Well, I really wanted to have the opportunity to chat with you because I was talking to friends at the at our local community theater at Wilkes Playmakers, and I wanted to talk with someone that had moved here from somewhere else. Okay. And who loved community theater, and someone who also was involved with an upcoming performance that we'll talk about a little bit later, and your name came up.
Great.
And it was nothing but positive. Oh. And then when you and I talked on the phone, I was like, oh my goodness, you're not new at this, are you? And that's pretty darn exciting. So tell us about being born and raised in Texas and what your family was like there.
Well, I have 4 brothers, and my parents were really great. My grandparents, both grandparents' sides, lived very close, some in Dublin and some 10 miles down the road in De Leon.
Right.
And we got together with cousins and aunts and uncles and all those things that you do. There was a farm. We didn't live on the farm, but my dad got his horses, and I only rode them in parades, but, that was just me.
That's right.
And it was really, what about community theater is just that whole community word. I really enjoyed, I went straight through, elementary, junior high, high school in Dublin, Texas. I went to a little junior college in Cisco, Texas, and mainly because the drill team, dance team that I had been on qualified me to go and audition for the drill team there. And we went to New York, and we marched in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Wow, that must have been exciting.
It was really fun. And so, a lot of cowboy hats and the little boots. And
well, you had to qualify for that, though, right?
Well, you had to have experience, and but boy, the friends and the leadership there at that junior college. I mean, a lot of people, they want to get to a big college and they want to say, oh, that's in my past, but it was a big part of my future.
Well, you mentioned community theater there. So at what time, how old were you when you had your first community theater experience?
Well, we didn't have a community theater close, but I went to Casa Manana in Fort Worth. I would go with my parents to a windmill theater, and when we went to Colorado, we would go to, I think they were called like melodramas, and they were really great. And so from a very young age, I was getting experience of watching, and really was very fascinated and enjoyed that. So when I was a junior in high school and a senior in high school, I auditioned for the junior-senior play.
Okay.
Always a character. My first character, her name was Angela Copley. She was kind of a Marilyn Monroe type, and it was really fun. And the next time, the senior year, I was Ruby Roughneck. Sorry. Yeah, she was married to a boxer wrestler, and so it was another character.
Right.
Never the lead. I didn't want the lead. I wanted the character.
You wanted to express yourself, right?
That's right.
Did it give you that opportunity to do that?
Oh, it definitely did. I love to get a laugh. I love for people. I don't really care if they're judging me for being who I am.
Right.
So that's kind of stuck with me for a long time. And years later, I moved away and I moved back
To Texas.
To Texas.
Okay.
Well, I stayed in Texas, but I went down to, first of all, the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, and got involved in community theater there.
Was that your first community theater involvement?
That was my first true,
Right.
yes. And I did a play where I was the lead. It was Goodbye Charlie. I don't know if you remember that or not.
So
but
you were the lead in that.
I was, and I really didn't have much experience. I did Paint Your Wagon and trying to think of some of the others, but that was a really great learning opportunity. And
When you stepped into that, okay, for the first time, going from the experience you had had in high school and things that you had experienced with your parents as you traveled around, and your own stage, what would be the closest to a big performance you've ever had, right?
Yes, yes.
And in one case, you're a lead character. At what moment did it dawn on you that, wow, I really enjoy this?
I think that it was a challenge, but it was like facing my fear and then accomplishing my goal. And like I said before, I really enjoy working with the people that have the same mindset, that are creative, but yet not perfect.
Right.
So I think that's when it really, I really felt like I could do it every now and then. Of course, I was teaching school and doing other things.
Okay.
But a movie came to town in Brownsville, and it was Sally Field and Tommy Lee Jones. It was called Backroads, and I went downtown to wherever they were hiring, and so I ended up getting a pretty good background role, extra.
Right.
But that was just the start of it too. Not that I was trying to do anything big like that, but eventually I did get an agent and some things when I moved back into the Metroplex area, and got a few things. Got the most work when I moved to North Carolina.
So North Carolina. Well, we appreciate being entertained.
Yeah.
That's a big part of our culture. It always has been, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know that we think about it as much. We just do it because it is absolutely part of our normal.
Absolutely.
And that's a pretty nice thing. And I know that's not everywhere, that there's an abundance, but it sounds like the theater has been good to you in a lot of different ways. You were a teacher for a while and theater. So I don't want to, belabor the thought, but of how important community theater and the stage can be to help people come out of whatever we find ourselves in. Some people call it a shell, or just getting over, mastering being nervous and afraid. But what do you contribute that benefit for, and how it helped your life in moving forward?
Well, I feel like when I was teaching, say, kindergarten, when I first got out of, graduated from college, and I went in to teach, I tried to take experiences that I had. The first year I taught 5th grade, and I had been to Japan years ago, like when I was 19. So there I am teaching, and so I could bring that in, something that no one had ever, they'd never been to Japan or anywhere. Right. And I know that made a positive influence on them. But what I really loved was something that my mother told me a long time ago when she knew I was going to teach. She said, don't just stand there as a teacher. You participate with those kids, and they will want to participate, because a lot of times kids are a little shy. So just that, trying to use a lot of art and drama and that type of thing to teach the kids.
Participate with them.
Yes.
That's an idea, right? I mean,
it
you
is.
have to. I don't know that I've heard that before. Is
Yeah.
that, do you, in the teaching world, is that a common expression?
I don't know that it is. That's
Right.
just something that I always tried to do.
Did it come, so that came to life for you easily?
It did. It really did. There came a time when I wasn't teaching, I was subbing, and I was still living in Raleigh, and an opportunity came up to do standardized patient work. And what that is, you go into as an actor, but you learn a backstory and a history for students at Duke that are trying to pass some kind of medical exam. And so they ask you questions and you give them, like, for instance, in one, I was supposed to have been a smoker trying to quit smoking for 25 years. Well, I've never smoked.
Right.
So it was a great way to hone my skill. But all the things I've ever done, I've had children, I have grandchildren now. I know what it's like, but I also taught children. And so it's a big part for me. I think we talked about when I moved back to Dublin, Texas, I was thinking about there wasn't really a character. There was Santa Claus, but that's just a little bit
Right.
time of the year. So I created the Shamrock Princess.
Oh, absolutely. I love that story. When we first talked on the phone, I was like, the Shamrock Princess, what's that about? Why don't you share that story again? Because I thought that was fascinating.
Well, so on we had a St. Patrick's celebration each year. We had a parade down Patrick Street, the main street, and they had activities around town. But I would go over to the library, and we would announce that the Shamrock Princess was coming. So I'd get there, and the kids were all sitting around, and this one little girl was so excited. When it was over, she went out to her grandfather, and she said, Granddaddy. And he just thought, oh, wow, she's really glad to see me. Said, did you know that Dublin is the kingdom of kindness? The Shamrock Princess told us.
Right.
Like, that's the truth.
Right.
Yeah. And you know what? I get chills still saying it and still thinking about it, because a lot of people wondered why at my age, wasn't that long ago, would I do that? Well, I think I don't care why anybody asks why I would do it.
Right.
It's a way of bringing something magical to the community.
So it was your creative expression coming out, and it goes back to that participating, right? Like
Absolutely.
going back to what your your folks said, participate
Yes.
with your kids, right?
Yes.
With your students. So you became part of the idea.
Yes.
You were sitting around having a coffee or whatever, and you're like, oh, Prince, I could do that. So the kingdom of kindness.
Yeah.
So living in Dublin, Texas.
Yes.
So were the people there really kind?
They're awesome. They're awesome. And they all feel like family, even if they're not related to you. You feel like you've known them all your life. You probably have. One thing is that it doesn't matter if you don't go to their church or they don't go to your church or your different political thoughts. It doesn't matter. Very supportive and spirited with the small school. It's a town under 4,000 people. And I just, I really do miss it, but I get to go back and visit.
Right. The kingdom of kindness.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. The idea that creative thought came out of your head and you brought it to life. So now you find yourself here in the Carolinas. And I mean, we have a bit of the kingdom of kindness. I think
Absolutely.
in areas we have an enormous amount of
Yes.
kindness. I don't know what could be bigger than the kingdom of kindness. That's pretty big. What would it be?
Well, I think it might be Lululand.
Lululand?
Yes.
Okay, Lululand. Well, what is Lululand?
So my grandchildren live in
Right.
Raleigh,
Uh-huh.
and they are now 8 and 11, but you know what they were 4 years ago. So they will come to see me, and I moved here pretty much for them. And so they call me Lulu. And then I started saying, you ready to come to Lululand? And I've taken them to almost everywhere I can think of that was age appropriate, and there are a lot of places around here. They have been up and down the streets for the Halloween stuff. They have helped me with getting out there and doing like Christmas. You all do a Christmas
Right.
thing. They've helped me with things at Playmakers. They've come to see my plays. I mean, it's just like we're having fun. My husband is a great cook. He's teaching the 11-year-old grandson how to make smothered okra, and he's showing them how to grow a garden. And then we're taking them to Perry-Lowe Apple. We did that a few years ago. I have pictures of that. We took them to pick strawberries, take them to waterfalls. We have gone to the lake. It's wonderful. I mean, I feel like every time we're driving, especially now with that big cross, I'm just like, are we on vacation?
Right. No, you're in Lululand, right?
No, this is Lululand. Yes.
Well, I love that. Well, you're describing it. I said, well, we've lived in Lululand all of our lives. That's
absolutely.
And didn't even know that's what it was called.
Yeah.
But that's great that you're doing that with your grandkids, and it's coming to life for them.
Yes.
Do you see a bit of your ideology of life rubbing off on them? Are they going to be the future Lululand creators?
Oh, I think they will be. And my daughter, she's got a little girl that will be a year old in October. And they just love on that baby, and they take care of the baby. It's just like, wow, we've come a long way. Right. And I'll tell you something else they like. We live in a neighborhood with a community pool, and so they always have volunteers to take care of the pool. So my husband's the president. I've been the treasurer. There's a lot to do. But the kids are like, are we going to get to go swimming? I'm like, well, it's December. Not this time. You have to come back in the summer. So that's been fun. And I try to document through the years. And so much growth between 4 years, that's passed. So it is wonderful here. Yeah. We truly, truly love it. I do believe it's our home away from home and our forever home.
So Wilkes, you live in Wilkes County now.
Yes.
So you now consider this to be your whatever you're going to call it, but your good kingdom, your happy kingdom. This is your home now.
Yes.
We love hearing that because that happens quite a bit, and also. People who discover community theater and why that's so important. Can you imagine your life without what would your life have been like without being involved with community theater performance, being able to bring characters to life? Can you imagine?
I think I might have done it in my own way, and that would have been okay. But sometimes the kids grow up, kids leave. If you've always kind of done it and then that happens, you don't have your children, maybe your grandkids don't live close to you, you try too hard to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. And so it's just all come together here. Yeah, it really has.
Theater gives you a purpose, right?
It does. And one thing I did in Raleigh, I was part of a troupe called It's a Mystery NC. And I did that for about 12 years. And a very good friend of mine writes the plays for that organization. And
they're still going, aren't they?
Yeah, they're still going. I had moved, and then I came back here. So she has been, I think it's 25 years. So anyway, here's an interesting thing. So my friend had told me if you ever move back to North Carolina, because she lived in Raleigh, she said, I may move there. So she did. So her name's Suzanne Arrington, and she moved here. She just finished in Tom Dooley.
Oh, okay. All right.
She's been in some Blue Moon productions.
Right.
And she writes these plays. And now It's a Mystery in C is coming to the Walker Center.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. When are they going? Do you know the schedule
I believe
yet?
it's the 28th, maybe the last Saturday in September.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, everybody knows how to check out the calendar at the Walker Center.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's great. Well, I've always enjoyed mystery shows. They take different forms. Some people are better at them than others, but they're all a bit of entertainment. So
they are.
Did you do when you were doing that? Were they dinner performances?
Yes, it was a dinner performance, and sometimes it would be in downtown Raleigh, and it would be in the middle of them serving, and I want to, I've died. And so I'm laying back, and I always wore hair to go. So that's what I call it. It's my long wig. And I'd be laying there, and they'd be trying to serve food around us. But you know what? It was so much fun that it didn't matter. We did it in a lot of different venues. One time, and my mother loved this story, and she's been gone since '01, so I know it was a long time ago. But I do this coughing thing. It's kind of like a bad smoker's cough, but it's when I've ingested something that, to kill me. And so I do this thing, and I kind of go around the tables and drape myself, and then I just, collapse. And the event planner was out there with some of the other actors, that were trying to come in. And he's like, oh no. Someone, we've got to call an ambulance. I mean, he really thought I had done it.
He didn't realize that you were acting.
No, he didn't know it was part of my...
Right. He was very good
there are some times when we're like, no, it's not real.
So you were either that good or he was that slow. So
I don't know. Probably a little bit of both.
A little both. That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
My goodness. So you found the Wilkes Playmakers now, and that's become part of your life in Wilkes, right?
It really has. Yeah. I went for an audition 2 years ago, and I even wrote on there, if I don't get a part, I'm glad to help with, costumes.
Right.
Cook, anything you'll need me to do, babysit. And then I got the part. It was Clue on stage. Okay. And I got the part of Miss Peacock, Mrs. Peacock.
All right. That's a good one, right?
It was. I really enjoyed it. Mostly I enjoyed going to Key City and finding the perfect hat and, and the perfect bag. And it was great fun.
So that was at the beginning?
That was the beginning here.
All right. So that's how it started.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got more exciting things coming up with community theater here. I can't wait to see all the things that what branding project you're going to work on to celebrate our kingdom here. I can't wait to hear what that's called. But
it'll be great.
But that's pretty exciting. So let's talk now though about what you've got coming up. So people are going to see this whenever they see it, so either before it happens or after it happens or during when it's happening. Yeah. But there's always going to be something going on with the Wilkes Playmakers. And since you're here, you're likely to be involved with quite a few of them, right?
Yes. I even am Mrs. Santa Claus or Mrs. Claus.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I've done that the last couple of years, only for Playmaker events. Sometimes I'll do, breakfast with Santa or cookies with Santa. So that's been a lot of fun. And, of course, all the children that come in, there's a little cost to that, but that's why I like it, because if I see that they can't do it, I'm like, let them in. Yeah. I'll cover it. Let them in. I'll cover it, because that's the joy of it. It's that season in my life that I can pay it forward.
It's a nice time, isn't it?
It is. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what you got coming up with Still Magnolias and some of your Playmaker pals. There are quite a few of them, aren't there?
Yes.
Well, and talk about Still Magnolias first, because not everyone, I think everyone probably has seen the movies, right?
Yes,
and the storyline, which is highly relatable, right, to all people.
It is.
Talk about the performance and what you think it means, and then some of the characters that your Playmaker partners, right?
Right, exactly. My partners in crime, really. Right. So it's a very familiar, beloved story, and it's known by many. It's the beauty of the mundane and everyday happenings in life, which is really what you see in this area as well.
Sure.
And it's treasuring those moments. So working on characterization, I think, was the first thing that we all needed to do. So we have a character who's the realist, and that would be Malin. And she is played by Danielle Pardue. Okay. And then Weezer, the complainer. If you've ever seen it, you'll remember that character. And she's portrayed by DJ Van Hoy. And then there's the optimist, and that would be Shelby. And Shelby is played by Kaylee Simmons.
Okay.
Truvy, the hopeless romantic. and she's played by Jill Starr, and Annelle, the shy, insecure one. And she's played by Krista Trivet. And then, of course, I play Clary, the one keeping things light and the jokester.
Right. It's kind of appropriate, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. You know, it's as you're getting older, my husband and I always talk about, let's finish strong.
Right.
and you know, I don't think I'm that old, but I do think that you've got to make the most of every day.
Sure.
And so when it said that Clary's character is supposed to be like 66, I thought, well, I'm 65. I think I can do it. Only now will I do that.
you can pull that one off, but it's such a real story. I was talking to some friends the other day about that show, and I have a lot of friends who are in the image business, women and men.
Oh yes.
And I have someone that has a really nice place to cut hair, and I have two people, and one more women go to, the other one, the barber shop is. I don't know that I've ever seen a female there other than to bring their child, because it's just where the men go, right? And there's nothing about that's odd. It's just there are no curlers.
That's probably good.
There are no curlers, and I mean the whole idea is it's where the guys come. And we were talking one day, and one of the guys says. He said, it seems like we sure do gossip a lot. and I'm just sitting there listening to. I knew something else was going to be said, and I just sat there and listened, and well, we're just talking about the truth, or a version of it we're okay with. So I think that's the whole thing of humans, right? All humans have that notion. So where yours is a predominantly, well, it's all women, right? Who are bringing this story to life, but it is a human story, isn't it?
It is a very human story, and they are fictional characters, but they're very real women. And it is based on a true story. The brother of Shelby wrote it, and it's just bringing people together. They're all going through something, and then they're all there for each other. Nice. And I think that helps you get through.
Right. So whether you're at the beauty shop or the barber shop,
exactly,
everybody's kind of going through the same thing, aren't they?
Well, I think there are a lot of beauticians and stylists, I think they like to be called now, that have listened to so many stories that they should be counselors. They should go ahead, if they're tired of being beauticians, and go get your counseling degree.
Right. I think there probably already are friend counselors, aren't they? Because you're listening.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, is to listen, right? You got to listen to all those stories.
Well, that reminds me of something, Carl. When my mother was alive, she would go ahead and set my dad's haircut each week, pay for it, so he didn't know how much it was, because he might not have gone. Anyway. Right. And so he just went down there like clockwork every week. I think on Tuesdays he'd sit in the chair, and he would, talk to the beautician, Nancy. Right. And he knew that my mother liked Nancy. Then my mother passed away, and then Nancy called me one day, and I said, "How's my dad doing?" And she said, "He comes in every Tuesday to sit and cry in the chair." Oh. But she listens, and that meant so much, And I think that's what resonates in Still Magnolias.
What a nice thing. What a nice thing. Well, Luanne, for those who are listening to this, I know that we're all glad that you're in our neighborhood now in Wilkes County in North Carolina. You've been here for a while, but we're just now formally getting to meet you and share your story with a lot of other people. But it resonates with, I think, the spirit of life here. And it's, as you were sharing your story about, growing up in Dublin, Texas.
Texas, yeah.
That everything there sounds an awfully lot like everything here.
Yeah.
And coming up with characters and a way to entertain, that's part of our tradition. So welcome to the Carolinas.
Thank you. My last thing to say is
Yes.
I try to live by this. Get up, dress up, show up.
Get up, dress up, and show up. I love that. Well, we're certainly glad you showed up today. I have a feeling this isn't the last time we're going to chat. So we'll take it from there. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
On stage.
All right.
Thank you for spending time with us on Life in Wilkes. We value you as a viewer and appreciate when you share the show with your friends and family. Be sure to bookmark our channel and join us again on the next episode of Life in Wilkes.